Taylor Swift, anti-hero, what is it? 1043, is it 3.5? I don't know. 1043, My FM, maybe. Taylor Swift, anyway. Anti-hero, just in case the algorithm of death wants to punish me once again, because it does that. For no apparent reason. For no apparent reason. But anyway, we're here. We're here today. We're here today one more time to talk about toxic masculinity and why men, women, and non-binary alike all fall into this trap of having it. And it's part of the programming, unfortunately, that is part of being human, sadly. But it's also the same reason why so many people are just unhappy. And they always talk about how, people change. Things change, people change. That famous thing that they always say. People don't change. People don't change. The only thing that changes in life are the circumstances. The circumstances change all the time, but the people are just the same. And after a certain amount of years on planet Earth, whatever your programming is, that's who you are. You can try your best at a later age to change your programming. You fight for it. You try to get better. But at the end of the day, you're usually who you are after a certain age. And so after that, it's just the circumstances change around you, or you're one of those people. I love what Eli, the computer guy, said. You can try to maximize your circumstances for luck, but that's about as best as you can do. You are who you are, and that's all. So today, what we're gonna do, I have some of my stuff that I bring every day, but we're gonna talk about that toxic masculinity. I have my favorite book, which we will talk about later before we end. I also have this one I could read from later on. This is by far my top favorite school that I went to growing up. And one of the coolest things about this school was they had teachers from all walks of life. And I can't say that all of them were great. There was one teacher who also fell for that toxic masculinity thing. Sadly, for himself, he probably didn't realize and never fixed it. So he had his demise early, say probably earlier than he would have if he hadn't realized that was an issue. But anyway, everyone else, there was only one teacher. Can you imagine a whole school, only one teacher that I was not a huge fan of? But anyway, we had teachers, male, female, and non-binary, teaching us. And that was a beautiful thing. Nobody cared about whether they were male, female, or non-binary because they were just amazing teachers. And we learned so much from them. All right, so let's get into that whole thing that I was talking about. That toxic masculinity, because again, as a man, we have the concept of mansplaining, but I will give you guys a little anecdote here, because why not, right? Let's go back to the olden days, before we had technology, before all that stuff. It was just like cavemen, right? Neanderthals, monkey men, monkey women. How does life work, right? We could go into the fine details of how a man and a woman is created and how a man and a woman get together and all that stuff. But let's just say that, let's start at this point here, which is a man is somewhere. He's not really a man. He's a lad. What they call a lad in the English culture. Somewhere between 18 and 25. He's sick of the nagging from mama monkey and daddy monkey, so he wanders off from the pack and he goes off on this little journey to find his life, his way, right? So he finds himself a nice spot close to water, because if you don't have water, you can't live. He probably feasts on whatever he can find, fruit, leaves, But let's face it, sometimes you need a little bit more. So maybe he goes off to the river, right? His source of water is river or lake, whatever it is. And he fishes, because it's back in the day before they had veganism. So he's having a good time. He's happy, he's content and everything. But at that point, he has everything he needs, right? He's a confident alpha male, if you will. He's got his water, he's got his food. He's been able to build a little shelter somewhere. And he's content. But he's bored because, let's face it, whether you're a man or a woman or a non-binary, at some point, even if you are content in your job, whatever it is, you seek companionship, right? You've had, at some point in your life, you've seen how your parents were. So you've seen that they've had some kind of dynamics, whether they were happy together, whether they got divorced or whatever it is. Doesn't matter, but there was companionship at some point, right? So as a young male, 18 to 25, you start seeking out to see if there's any, hey ladies out there. So you might find a nice area there where some ladies are gathering, having a good time, doing what ladies do, which is they're just naturally entertaining. If you think about it, I don't know, a lot of men probably don't go into nail salons, probably don't hang out with the ladies the way that I used to hang out with the ladies. One of the coolest things about this school where I was is that there was no harm in just hanging back. I mean, one of the cool things was that the ladies would hang out doing some things and the boys would hang out doing something else. So if, I was big on soccer and sports and things, so I did love to go out there and hang out with the lads out there, kick some balls around, blow off some steam during break time, sometimes climb over the fence if the ball got over the fence, which we weren't supposed to do, but we did anyway because we wanted to continue playing the game. So we would jump over the fence, grab the ball, bring it back in, continue playing. So I was one of the monkeys who would, one of the designated monkeys to jump over the fence, grab that ball, bring it back in so we could keep playing. But one of my favorite activities was to hang out with the ladies, sometimes in the art room. Sometimes you could hang out in some of the other rooms in the school, reading poetry, just hanging out, just listening to what the ladies did and stuff. So anyway, let's go back to that famous thing. In every culture, in every time, the ladies have always gathered around doing whatever they do. Like monkeys will groom their hair or whatever they do to each other, help out, get some of those parasites out, whatever it is that they do. So you see a gathering of ladies, right? And you're this 18 or 25-year-old creature. You're confident. You puff up your chest. You lean back into it. Widen those shoulders. Show up and say, hey, how you doing? Right? And the ladies might be impressed or they might not be impressed. But you stick around. You try not to just, here's the toxic masculinity, right? You just show up there and start bragging about yourself and I'm so good and whatever. That's the toxic masculinity right there. Like I'm a big, tall, whatever the thing is. Some ladies go for it. Some other ladies don't go for it. But anyway, let's say you're a moderate human. So you're just hanging out with the ladies. You start talking to them. You start using your ears because your ears are kind of useful, right? So, hey, ladies, how's it going? You learn about them a little bit. How's your day? What's going on? And you start understanding which ones, because you're looking around and you say, oh, this one kind of is looking at me with that eye. She kind of likes me. That one doesn't really that much and stuff. And so, as a good guy, whatever, you figure out which one you may be able to bring back home. You try to make eye contact, whatever, and you say, hey, guess what? If you want to hang out later, we could hang out later. I'm just down the road over there where there's that little stream. Maybe they didn't know there was a stream. I'm just down the road with a little stream. Made myself a cool little shelter. Just living the dream, just living the American dream. So yeah, if you want, we can hang out later. and you just hit the road, just go about your way, and then maybe sometimes you'll come back, whatever, and see if one of these ladies is interested. And the opposite way is that it's that toxic masculinity, right? Toxic masculinity. They show up, they're all big and strong and everything, and start bragging about what they do, what they've accomplished. You know, I've got a group of men that's working for me, whatever. We've expanded. We've started building. We're like farming some cows. You could come over at my place and we've got like meat galore or whatever, you know. But then some of the ladies don't want this guy because they might feel like he's a pompous donkey. And then here comes the real toxic masculinity is you slap the lady around, you grab her by the hair, and you drag her to your place because you can. Because literally you can. There ain't nothing stopping you from doing that. You're the big, tall, strong man. You have all these women. And at the end of the day, whether they want to come with you or not, you have that toxic masculinity. Slap them around, grab them by the hair, drag them to your camp or whatever, and that's be that. But remember, the problem with that toxic masculinity is this. The lady may stay because she's afraid of you. The lady may stay because at the end of the day she gets her belly filled. But is she happy? Is she happy? Because the lady that goes with the first guy who shows up, looks around, sees which lady is most interested in him, not necessarily going for his type, not necessarily saying, well, you know, she's got to have the hourglass figure, whatever, hourglass figure. She got to be tall. She's got to have the hair this way. She's got to have this that way. And yeah, you know, if she doesn't want to come with me, slap her around, grab her by the hair, drag her to my camp. That relationship is not going to be a long-lasting relationship. And if it is, it's all about the fear. It's all about the being fed, whatever. But you know, it's more like Stockholm syndrome at the end of the day. You know, when you become enslaved, or you become, you know, when they have those situations where there's a robbery, right? And then the people inside stay a long time with the people with the guns. The people with the power, people have guns. So they stay with those people for like a couple of weeks or whatever, because it's they're trying to leave with the money, but they can't. They need to figure out how to get out with the money or whatever, those movies. So then people who have been enslaved develop feelings for the people with the power, with the guns and stuff. So anyway, that's toxic masculinity there, explained in manspeak. Anyway, so the other thing that I want to talk about today is you'll notice that there will be people out there, and they're stable people. They're people that can find happiness in pretty much any kind of circumstance. They try to look at what they have, they balance it out. They say, well, this is dramatic, this is bad, but you weigh this part and that part. Yeah, you know, overall it's pretty good. So long as circumstances stay the same, I can deal with that, and they just go through. And I feel a lot of people also in their jobs and stuff. One of the things that I seem to be good at, seem to have found in pretty much any job that I did, whether it was just, you know, being an assistant to waiting tables. There was a time when I did that. Basically for a couple of days, I did the job. I wish I would have stuck with it, because then I decided to go back and do the right thing, right? The thing that my parents wanted me to do, which was finish your degrees, stay, if you want to be cool, stay in school. If you want to get, they just programmed us ever since we were young. They programmed us with, if you want to stay cool, if you want to be cool, stay in school, go the long way, get your certifications, get all your things, because then everything is going to be all right. So as a good little boy, like one of my strongest traits was, even when I was like super little, somewhere between 4 and 8 years old, I was that kind of human. I was happy just playing all by myself, no problem. One of the things that my parents could do, which is kind of rare for boys. For boys, it's really rare. Boys just get wild, don't they? If you had a son, at some point, if you raise a son, you should know, boys get wild. I was not that boy. I was raised to be a beta, a gamma even, maybe. So my parents could take me all to all these rich people's folks, like wealthy people, mind you, classy people, not the kind of people that are always with that toxic masculinity. Anyway, and they could take me to one of these places, and they could have some seriously expensive stuff just laying around there. They could have like Ming Dynasty. This is just an example. They didn't have Ming Dynasty pots or anything, but they could have had Ming Dynasty. They could have had rows of Rolexes. They could have had diamonds, necklaces, whatever, just laying there out in plain view. But my parents knew that I didn't care anything about that. And so long as I had a couple of little cars, maybe a couple of G.I. Joes, they knew that they could sit me in a corner with my stuff, and I could create my own stories, and I could be in my own worlds, and it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter if there was an iPhone of top quality or whatever, the latest and greatest bit of technology, whatever, that's amazing, just around there. They knew that I wouldn't go look for it. They knew that I wouldn't go pick it up. They knew that I wouldn't try to steal it. They knew that I could just sit there. And you might think this is pathetic. And maybe it is. But I could sit there for hours and hours on end with toys, whether it's G.I. Joes, whether it was remote control cars, and just be there, just enjoy it. And on occasion, I got to go outside, and they weren't worried about me burning down the forest. They weren't worried about me jumping in a ditch. They weren't worried about me climbing up a tree, because I knew how to climb up and down trees. I was a very, very capable monkey. They weren't worried about me falling over and breaking my arm. They weren't worried about me doing something stupid and then, them suing their friends, their rich friends, for something like that. So I was welcome. At all the rich people's houses. Because I could find happiness. I was just content being myself. I was just content doing my own thing. Unfortunately, as things progress in life and you move into the real world, you realize that's not how it works. You get all your degrees. Again, I've gotten myself 3, not 1, 3 degrees, all in technology. I had my lowest degree down there, my bachelor's degree in multimedia technology and medical studies. I then thought, it's the future. Hollywood is the future. I want to be in Hollywood. So I went out and I got myself a master's degree in computer animation and all that stuff, but not just computers, animation, right? I already knew, because previously I knew how to build and take bits and pieces of computers apart and stuff. Those days were fun when I was still like under the tutelage of my parents and stuff like that. And so I would be the technician at home, build computers, assemble. What's going on? Is the wireless not working? Whatever. Of course, my parents would also have the technician come along whenever it was beyond my scope, whatever I was not able to do myself, they would invite over some technicians to come fix this and the other. But when they did, I was there to pay attention. I listened. I tried to learn on the job. And then when the technician was not there and my dad or my mom had some issues with the computer, they would call me. They would call me and I would be the technician. So technically that's called experience. In the real world, guys, that's worthless. That's worthless. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, you know, like if you don't have experience, then just go work for that company and that other company for free. And that is absolutely bogus. It may have worked 10, 15 years ago, but it doesn't work anymore because now when people do bring you on to do that kind of job, they don't give you enough responsibility for it to be worth your experience. So then when you go into the real world, the learning curve is so steep that the people that find you, maybe you're there for like a couple of days, they instantly realize how much training they would have to give you in order for you to be a viable asset to the company, and you're out the door and they're going to hire the guy who already knows what they're doing. So anyway, beside my point, but the thing is, as I said before, society is about groups of people. And if you are somebody who is perfectly content with life and yourself, doesn't mean you're going to fit into a group. So although I was always a loner and stuff like that, I did pick up the skills to become good with people. So I spent a lot of time networking. If you guys go and check out my old LinkedIn account, you'll see that I have 500 plus humans that I connected with. And for the longest time, I did all kinds of things. But again, a man's natural mindset, his natural setting is I must work. So in every aspect of my life, every time in my life, whether I was actually making money or not, I was working. That's one thing that's always been me. It doesn't matter because people don't appreciate that. They don't appreciate that you've been working. The only thing they appreciate is, at the end of the day, how much money did you produce? They value you based on how much money did you produce, right? So going back to that caveman. Let's go back to that caveman and to that toxic masculinity, okay? So that caveman is living the dream. He's found himself a nice gathering of ladies. He's got himself a little shelter. He has plenty of food. Again, live, let live. He's not taking too much. His belly is not big because he's overeating. He's taking what he needs, right? To be a man. He eats what he needs in order to survive. He's content. He does his busy work. He makes sure that his house doesn't fall apart because he has to do maintenance on the house. Sometimes it rains. Sometimes there's differences in temperatures. Sometimes things crack. Sometimes you need to gather more wood to bring that shed to stay the way it is. Everything's fine. He's found that gathering of ladies, as I said before. He's gone over there. He's made eye contact with that one girl. It's not the hourglass figure. It's not the most amazing girl out there, but it's the one that looked at him back and seems to be content with him. He said, I'm having, what they do, the best men, what they do is they say, hey, beautiful, I'm having dinner at blah, 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 McDonald's tonight. I'm going to be there between this time and this time. If you want to join me, please, you're welcome. If she joins you, good. If she doesn't join you, you go around, you fish around, you find for someone else who might decide to come see you. But you don't tell her what to do. That's the toxic masculinity. Say, hey, woman, I'm going to be at, Louis Vuitton tonight. I expect you to be there at blah, blah, blah. Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, God. Anyway. Tell people, you know, I've lived. I'm a strong believer in reincarnation. I've lived many a lifetimes. I've lived many of lifetimes. I've died, come back, started again, died, come back, start again. And every time I come back, I'm thinking, maybe this time I will get through it. I will get through to people, and people will understand how to be happy. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Because that toxic masculinity, whether you're male, female, or non-binary, kicks in. I want more. I need to create more. I need to push more. When is it ever enough? When is it ever enough? It is never enough, guys. It is never enough. So this is what happens. This is why everything goes to crap. Because that nice guy, close to water because he's smart. He knows he needs water. He's figured out there's a few trees out there with fruit, veggies, whatever. Occasionally he has to work a little harder, catch a fish, because the fruit and the whatever may not be enough. He doesn't know how to make tofu yet. He's found a girl, and that girl shows up. She shows up because she goes, okay, well, that guy's got a pretty good thing going there. He's quite happy. He's happy with himself, number one. Number two, he says, you know what? We could share some good times together. I'm going to go over there and hang out with that guy. So, you know, it started with a kiss, but how did it end up like this, right? So it starts with a kiss. Suddenly they have a baby. Everything's fine. They're raising a kid together. Everything's fine. But here comes Mr. Toxic masculinity. Bonk, bonk, bonk shows up. Shows up at his nice little home. Knock, knock, knock. So the nice man comes out. His beautiful wife, at least beautiful to him, is with his child. Everything's fine. Opens the door. Say, hey, what's up? Welcome to my home. Big toxic masculinity guy goes, hey, I see you have a good thing going over here. So, well, yeah, you know, I'm happy. I'm just living the American dream, just doing my thing. Over there, you see, that's my beautiful wife. We have a kid. That's all good. It's all good. So big man goes, well, guess what? I'm just down the road over there, and I've got a group of men. Group of beautiful, strong, sweaty men, and they're doing my bidding over there. And you know what? We might decide to come over here and start building on your land, but because we can. And so the man's like, well, no. I mean, first come, first serve. I was here first. I'm having my thing. I'm doing my thing. I have my game. It's all good. We're just having a good time. Why'd you got a trip? Why are you coming in my business? Why are you coming up all in my grill with this? And the guy goes, well, because I can. And so, and you know what? I think I like your woman. I think I'm going to take your woman. And, you know, you're like, well, no, you know, she agreed to be with me. We started a family. Everything's cool. But it don't matter, right? Because he's going to take her by force. And here's the problem. As a big, strong alpha male or whatever, you're going to try to protect your wife. You're going to go after this guy. Let's say you mastered. You went to Master Tom Wong's classes, and you're a Yen Kai San Samnung Ome Wing Chun master, and beat the ever-loving poop out of this guy. You send him packing. That doesn't last very long. That doesn't last very long. Because you see, big man, Mr. Big Man, he's got people that work for him. So Mr. Big Man's going to come back over again later on because he can. Mr. Big Man has a bunch of dudes. And the next time when he comes over, he's got a bunch of dudes. And when he has a bunch of dudes, it don't matter what you can do. Maybe you're still Mr. Grandmaster from Tom Wong. But you ain't going to keep them away long enough. They're going to take your woman. They're going to take away your child. And you're going to have to start over. And that is, my friends, toxic masculinity. Mansplained to you. Because some people will never be happy enough. And let me tell you something about life. Let me tell you something about life that nobody's going to tell you. Most of the time, those big people that you see up there, those big top millionaires, they got that way. And they took, and they took, and they took. But guess where they took it from? They took it from the little guy. They took it from the little guy who was just staying in his lane, doing his thing, and blah, blah, blah. Because if you keep trying to build and build and build and build and build, at some point, you run out of resources. You run out of resources. So, where are you going to get those resources? You're going to take it for someone else. And that's where overpopulation is a problem. Because the more people, the more variables, the more problems. I love that shirt. It's a bit too people-y or something. It's too people-y or something. Genius, right? This goes back to that cartoon, that beautiful cartoon. Popeye the Sailor Man, right? Popeye the Sailor Man. You got the good sailor. He stays in his lane. He does his work. Blah, blah, blah. Guess what? Big, old, toxic Mr. Big Guy has to get in the way of him and his woman. Why? Because he can. So Popeye the Sailor Man, again, this is a cartoon, so it's not like the real thing. Popeye the Sailor Man engulfs his wonderful spinach can, go veggies, go vegan, and has to kick the ever-loving donkey out of the other guy. And it just keeps going over and over and over and over and over and over and over. But guess what? The person who is actually capable of happiness is the one who is always going to be the unhappiest because somebody's going to take something from him. And again, as I said before, whether I was being the assistant for a very nice lady back in the UK, cleaning forks, spoons, and knives, whatever, while she was waiting tables or something. And then, again, unfortunately, the brainwashing of the parents wanting you to do the right thing. If you want to be cool, stay in school. If you want to be cool, stay in school. I was cool. I stayed in school, and I kept on this path of, well, maybe if this job doesn't take me, I will try that job. So I got a certification for CPR. I got fingerprinted so that I could do maybe like security jobs, school jobs. So got certification for ballet for my daughter so that I can, if she wants to do climbing, she can climb. And I've got all of these certifications. And again, as I said before, the other thing that ticked me off so much is I finally found a group of people that I liked. The RC community. And I thought, well, drones is the future, right? Because so many things, right? 3D printing was the future. VR was the future. Taking films for VR was the future. The Raspberry Pi was the future. The what do you call those kits that the EIY, whatever. The Google kits with the Raspberry Pi, the Vision kit, the audio kit, the whatever kit, that was the future. So I bought into all of this stuff. And in the end, do you know what was not the future? I was not the future. Me, this guy right here, I was not the future. Because remember, kids, this is the important thing. This is the snippet that you have to really like hold on to in your life. You have to be the future, right? The company has to pick you. The company has to want you. The people need to think that you're cool enough to be part of their group. Everything else, it don't matter. It don't matter. Because that's how it works. That's how it really works. And you wonder why the suicide rate is so high everywhere. Because when people come to that realization that you need to be your own future, that people need to pick you to be that person, then it's over. It's over because not everybody gets picked. Not everybody gets picked. Not everybody gets picked. Some people are just not going to get picked. So what's the solution? Right? The solution is you can either get married and become that's a form of communism. People don't understand that. It's a form of communism, and also it's a form of slavery. Under the wrong circumstances, right? Under the wrong circumstances, marriage is and can be toxic, right? And then, you know, like they say, well, you know, with the rise of the pill, right? The rise of the pill, ladies don't have to have children. With the rise of abortion, ladies don't have to have children, so they don't fit in the picture anymore. Well, it doesn't really matter. You could be the support system for an alpha, whether you're male, female, or non-binary. That doesn't change anything. Your sexuality means nothing there. The point is, you are the support system for the alpha. And depending on whether the alpha is a good alpha that we described in before, or you are with a toxic masculinity, and this is mansplained, obviously, that determines the entirety of your life. So, take that as you will, guys. Take that as you will. Because it is the way that it is. And some of the happiest people out there are those people who are able to, you know, like a lot of teachers that worked hard. They were alpha until they finally found a way to become at peace because they got their tenure. Or it's the government job employee who found their way where, you know, the government takes care of them. And so therefore, so long as they've found some kind of balance, they're able to live a sort of life. Again, people might think that's mediocre. It's mediocre. But they're happy because they're happy until one thing happens. Their health goes to crap. As soon as your health goes into the crapshoot, then you're screwed. You have to be rich, right? Because the healthcare is a mess in the United States. But so long as your health is fine, so long as you're in the right lane and your health is fine, you're a government employee, you are a teacher with a tenure, you're one of these people, you're maybe even a lucky yoga instructor or something. And you're lucky enough that you have enough, again, circumstances, right? You have enough people paying you. And you're not being taxed to death, and your landlord doesn't keep jacking up the prices and that kind of stuff, then you're fine. You can kind of like stay in your lane. You're happy. You're content. You're peaceful. And you go on with your life. But in the modern world, in today's world today, this kind of lifestyle is ever so more and more and more difficult. Because that toxic masculinity of, I want more, I need to produce more. And if I can't get what I want, I'm going to take it off you. the little guy. And the problem is, as I said before, I have no like quarrel with people like Andrew Tate. I have no quarrel with them. All of these motivational speakers. But the problem is that when people, especially young-minded people who don't understand these concepts that I've just explained in this video right here, listen to these Goombas, what they hear is, I'm going to be toxic. I'm going to take it. It's mine. If I want it, I can have it. Go out there and take it. What does that lead to? What does that lead to? It leads to alpha males, again, male, female, non-binary, doesn't matter. This is the modern world. Anybody can be that alpha who's in power with the money. And so it depends on how they treat whoever is their underling or whatever, their person that they decided to create a family with and love, however they want, right? They talk about rape, right? Rape. That whole concept of, wait a second, rape is kind of low. The statistics are kind of low. It's not a big deal. Abortion, you have to stop abortion at all time. All the pills, no matter what. No, just keep populating the earth. Well, what people never talk about is this. People never talk about this because the rich ladies, they can't go on camera without being like denigrated or insulted. Well, yeah, she's just a rich lady, a spoiled lady. She's just a horrible, horrible lady. And her man gives her so much money. He's throwing big chunks of money at her all the time. And she still has the gall on camera and say, this is my problem. Right? Rich people's problems. Rich lady problems. So they shut up. They shut up because they can't tell you that perhaps they only wanted to have one kid, but they married a guy who wanted to have 5 kids. And because they could, they kept getting raped over and over and over. And they wanted maybe not to have these children because it's a lot of work, because of this, because of that. Maybe at the beginning of the marriage, those two had decided that they weren't going to have kids, but it wasn't written down in the prenup. But they are an underling to the alpha. So if the alpha wants her to have more kids, what can she do? Have more kids. Or she gets heat because she divorced the guy. Because she may be lucky enough that her parents are still alive, or she has her own support group. So she can leave the guy that's raping the ever-loving poop out of her all the time because he wants more kids. She can leave. She most likely will bring some of the kids with her. But if she never wanted kids to begin with, she'll just leave, right? She'll just leave. And she'll make a new life. She'll make a new life. Now, is it fantastic that whenever the lady leaves, she takes half of the assets or whatever, or even more than half of the assets and everything, and it's always in her favor? Maybe she was a bad mother to begin with because she didn't want to have kids, but she gets the kids and all that stuff. We could have debates on that all day long, and maybe that's not a good thing, right? Maybe that's not a good thing. But the point is that so many rapes happen under closed doors. Nobody talks about them because the women won't speak up. And so that toxic masculinity, what is it? I've just explained it to you guys. That toxic masculinity, that is what it is in a nutshell. And as I said before, you don't have to be a male to have that toxic masculinity. You can be a woman. You can be a non-binary. You just have to be human. It's just a trait that you have. And that toxic masculinity may be fantastic in business, but don't bring that crap home. Don't bring that crap home, because when you bring that crap home, that's when all the real problems happen, right? Unfortunately, in the world that we live in, without some of that toxic masculinity, as I said before, you don't have the power to serve your country, if you will, when your general tells you, I need you to go take out those people over there. If you don't bring out that toxic masculinity, you're not going to be able to pull the trigger. If you have to deal with gangs all year round because you're a police officer or whatever, you need that toxic masculinity to get out there and make sure that you control the situation. Right now, you're putting yourself at risk. How much is your life worth compared to being, out there in the field with a bunch of people with guns, gangsters, whatever it is, and you need to keep those things in check. I mean, it's crazy. So you need to deal with that stuff at work, and then unfortunately some of that toxic masculinity gets back into your relationship, and things go wrong. But that's the problem. That's one of the problems that we have as human beings. We have to learn to compartmentalize. Compartmentalize. It's a big word, but it's basically create a bunch of different boxes, and then it's almost impossible to do. It's hard to do. You got to put your emotions in different boxes. These are the emotions I need for my job. These are the emotions I need to work with when I'm in a school setting. These are the emotions and setups that I need to use when I'm with raising my child, and this is the kind of thing that I need to do when interfacing or interacting with my wife, and stuff. It is a mess. It is a messy world. It's hard to live in, and again, there will be those people. They will live. They may be lucky, whatever, but they're kind of upset for one only thing, which is the only thing. I mean, for me, I haven't built an empire. I'm no Elon Musk. I'm no Zuckerberg. I'm no Warren Buffett. But I am content with who I am, with where I am. But sadly, the people around me are not. And so very soon, circumstances could change, and I may have to start over. It's just how it goes. Like one of the issues and that happens in a relationship is somebody who could be, again, they're not super alpha. They may be somewhere between alpha and beta. They've kind of crossed their nice balance, but people don't like those people in general. So they figured out their way of life, and they're pretty content where they are. But then the circumstances around them change again. As I said before, we talked about that first caveman in the situation. So maybe when you started off your relationship with your spouse, male, female, non-binary, again, this is really not about sex. People are always so about the sex. They're so about the sex. They don't understand. They're either all about the sex or they're all about the race. And they get lost in these loops of unconscious mumbo jumbo. Those things don't matter so much as to what really matters is, are you happy with yourself? And if you're happy with yourself and you figured out a balance for yourself, are you able to create a way to maintain that happiness and just keep going through? Because it's never always going to be happy. There's always going to be like ups and downs. That famous graph, right? Eli, the computer guy, is amazing. He says, business is a pendulum. For all these things, it's a pendulum. It's never it's never perfect graph going upwards the way you want it to go. There's going to be little swings and things, but so long as the two people that are working together in the family got it together, they kind of figured out their path, it's going to be fine. And here's a story. Here's a story. Like, let's pretend there's two people. They found each other, they love each other, and their ideal was the marriage is, what do you call that thing? A partnership. The marriage is a partnership of equals, right? What does that mean? In the best case scenario, the man and the woman, excuse me. Let's put this, you got the man. The man is a bartender. Man is a bartender. Finds a beautiful woman. What does she do? School teacher or nurse. Okay? They get together. One's making money. The other's making money. They're all happy with themselves separately, but they get together. Okay, yay. They fall in love, blah, 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 blase, blase. Now they're married. Great. Now they start putting together a family. The woman, let's say, the woman is an alpha woman. She's great. She's a nurse. She's kicking butt. She makes more money than the man. Here's that toxic masculinity, right? Some men can't deal with that. I'm on all the funny naughty apps. Why? Because I love to research people. I love to understand what makes people tick. I understand what people want, what they care about, what they don't care about. What is the number one thing that I keep hearing from the ladies? It was all great until I start making more money than him. It was all great in my relationship until I started making more money than him. Because he had to be the alpha, right? He couldn't step it down and be my support system. And so now we're not happy in the marriage. And usually what happens is that lady, she may not have the toxic masculinity. She may have. We don't know. In some cases she does. In some cases she doesn't. Let's say she does, okay? Let's say she has that toxic masculinity. So the man's already upset because he can't make any money, or he's making limited amount of money. She's making it better. She's doing it better than he's doing it. She is the boss, man. She is the boss, man. Fine. He can't deal with that. So he works harder. He tries to do better, whatever. But he's just what he is. He's just average. Nothing wrong with that, right? Have all those cool country songs where they talk about this stuff, right? I'm just that average Joe, and I'm cool with that because I'm a good lover, I'm a good brother, and I wear my freaking heart on my sleeve. That's not good enough for society. But anyway. So anyway, the lady, because men and ladies, they start fighting with each other. So here's where the toxic masculinity comes in from the lady's side. The lady goes, well, you know what? You know what, brah? You know what, brah? If you can't deal with me making more money than you, maybe you should do better. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Maybe you should learn to code. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Because that always works out well. So the guy goes out and he goes and he tries this and he tries that and he applies for that job and he works solar and he walks up and down the streets of LA trying to sell solar. Nobody wants it. It ruins the curb appeal on my house. I don't want that. The curb appeal. Nobody cares about the environment. No, we're not causing global warming. It's fine. We get that. But we are causing air pollution. Would you like to breathe better air? No. Okay. You don't want to breathe better air. Do you want all kinds of toxins in your food? Yeah. I'm fine with it because I'm building. I'm doing it cheaper, better, faster than anyone else. Cheaper, better, faster. While sticking it to the little guy. Or forcing the other slaves in other countries to work and make my products. Anyway, either way. So the guy, he goes out and he does whatever he can. He finds out that he's not cut up for it because he gets tired. He works, and the whatever money that he makes doing that stupid job is never going to bring him to that next job that's going to make him work and do as well as a nurse would, because, come on, a nurse is a stable job. There's always people getting sick. You need nurses, right? Eventually, that nurse, she's the shizzle. She's the shizzle. She's the sizzle in the shizzle of the steak. She upgrades herself to doctor. So the partnership of equals, right? The partnership of equals. You started off with two people, similar jobs, got together, everything was fine. The love, you're raising a child together. And again, in some cases, the guy's just fine. It's like, okay, dear, well, I see you're doing so well in your career. I'm your support system. I'm going to do more cooking. I'm going to do more cleaning. I'm going to take care of driving. I'm going to do busing. I'm going to be the butler. I'm going to be the gardener. I'm going to be this, that, and the other. Hey, would you mind me stop working at these ridiculous jobs that don't bring anything? Is it okay? You know, I'm getting this. I'm organizing the house, making sure everything's good. I'm doing the shopping. Whenever there's takeout, I'm Mr. Errand guy. I go out, I grab whatever food is. And so basically there becomes this other relationship here where so long as the guy figures out his way, he starts giving in more and more and more to the woman. Again, a lot of these situations is, well, you know what, I understand. So long as I've got some clothes on, I'm fine. You don't got to give me an allowance or anything. I've got food, I've got clothes, everything's fine. And from time to time, you'll be like, well, there's this one thing that I'd really like because I'm trying to build my own business or something, on the side, because, I'm not working. I'm doing everything that I'm supposed to for the family, but, I'd like to have a hobby. And that hobby might turn it into something eventually, maybe 20, 30 years down the line. But, it's nice to do something for myself, personal growth. And every time you say something like that, the woman says no. Like, for your personal growth, you might want to have a punching bag in the living room because, let's say to go to the garage, it's cold in the morning, so you have to open a door. You got to change, and you got to go outside, and it's all this stuff. So you don't want to go into the garage to do your punching, and so you get lazy. You don't want to do that. You still want to be that man, that high-value man. I don't know if maybe I didn't bring that sheet today. You still want to be the high-value man, right? You still want to have game. You still want to have muscles. You still want to hold frame and all that stuff. But look at your holding frame. You were not supposed to be a beta, but look, you're supporting your alpha. So you're betaing yourself a little bit in the support of the family, right? For the greater good, right? So that you have more time to dedicate to your business, so that you're going to be like, now you're a doctor, right? But, you're doing well in your career. Maybe you're going to be surgeon someday, right? So you're doing all this thing, and you've basically given 10, 15 years of your life to this alpha, right? And all of a sudden, out of the blue, this alpha goes, you know what? I'm not satisfied with you. Even though, you're not fat. You haven't really lost all of your muscle. You still have some muscle. You still take care of yourself. You're still taking care of the kids. You're the driver, the butler, the gardener. You take out the trash. You're errand boy. You're all of that. You've even said, you know what? I don't need an allowance. I don't need an allowance. So long as from time to time, if I say it'd be cool if I could do this for my personal growth. But she's starting to say no to that too. And now she's saying, go back to work. What do you think that's going to lead to? What? I'm just asking. What do you think that's going to lead to? It's going to lead to whoever you have, they might never be able to get a job, let's say. Maybe they're so depressed at this point with the industry, with everything. Let's say they don't make it. They come back after their job interview. They come back. They step back into their role of supporting the alpha, and they just keep living this completely ungraceful, undignified life until death does them part. Because eventually they're going to probably develop something like, ulcer. I don't know. They could develop cancer. They could develop colon issues, whatever it is, because stress does that to you. But let's say for the case of for fun, the woman tells the guy, or the guy tells the woman, all right, you're doing all of these things for me, but I want you to go back to work also because I want you to make money too, on top of doing all of this stuff. So he goes out. Let's say the company decides to give him a shot. Very unlikely. Almost impossible. But there's a 1%, right? There's always that 1%. Just like when I tell people, I'm on all the social media platforms. Somebody comes out of the work and says, we haven't seen this, have you? One. You're going to ding me on that one platform, that I said I may or may not have been on, which is probably useless. But anyway, beside the point. So he goes off, he gets his job finally. Finally, he gets his job. Now his job that he finally found has conflicting points, timelines, whatever, with everything else that he's doing. So now the family has to reorganize everything, and guess what? What's going to happen? What's going to happen is the alpha male woman, whoever is in charge of the family, is going to say, well, look, now you're out there making money. So let's put some of this money that you're making into the family. You don't get to keep that money that you're just making now. You need to put some of this money back into the family. What we're going to do is we're going to hire a nanny. We're going to hire a nanny. We're going to hire a driver. We're going to hire whatever it is. But let's remember, whatever money that you're going to be making at that whatever job, which is going to be probably a loser job, which if you are the kind of monkey, as I said before at the very beginning of the thing, you will be happy with. You will be happy with because you're that kind of guy who is happy no matter what you do. I was happy when I was teaching at ID Tech camps. It was fantastic. Until that toxic masculinity kicked me out of that job. Or it was also a part-time job. So it wasn't a full year-round thing. So I couldn't do it anyway, even if I really wanted to. Because I could have decided to say, well, you know what? I had my best experience when I was working in Florida. In Irvine, gotta tell you, elitist place. I did not have a good time. I had a good time with the kids. I loved some of the teachers. I was not a big fan of the management. The management was not on my side. It definitely wasn't. Elitists, everything. Elitists, right? That toxic masculinity, elitists. When I worked for ID Tech camps in Florida, it was the bomb, as they say, the bomb. But anyway, so going back to that thing, the first thing that's going to happen to that beta or gamma male, because now, they've been humiliated to death throughout their experience, right? They keep giving in more and more and more to the alpha, because let's keep the alpha happy, right? Let's keep that alpha happy so she or he doesn't kick me out of the home or whatever the deal is. Make them put them on the pedestal, right? It's that simp mentality. You don't necessarily have to be a simp. You don't have to be a simp. That alpha can turn you into a simp. You don't have to be a simp. You might not be a simp. If you had the right kind of circumstances, you wouldn't be a simp. But anyway, let's just put it here. Let's just continue on. So they finally started working. They're not successful, but they're putting some money. So now the alpha goes, you need to put some of that money into this, that, the other, because, the child or whatever that you're taking care of, the house that you're taking care of now can't be done because you're not doing that job anymore. Let's offload that responsibility to other people, so we start hiring people. Great. You know what's going to happen? That beta, that gamma person is going to say, you know what? Look here. I'm finally working again. The money is not great, but maybe if I move to Santa Ana or somewhere else where the thing's cheap or whatever, I'm out. See ya. And again, if you're a woman in that relationship, if you are the beta or gamma, because you've been humiliated to death over the years, but you're finally making some money, and you see an opportunity to move out. Even if you go back to living with some people, like you're renting off, a frat house or whatever, but it's still something that you've put together yourself. You've got a job, you've got somewhere, you've got shelter. Goes back to that caveman's thing. I'm out. So on the positive side, if you're a woman, you can get a divorce. You're a woman, you get a divorce. You take half with you, so you don't have to really settle for that frat house. You don't have to settle for that frat house. You're now working a simple job. It does what it's supposed to. It's stable. It's a government job, or it's a school teacher job, or whatever it is. You got your alpha's money because he needs to pay whatever thing. He needs to pay whatever thing, or she needs to pay whatever thing for the child. Hey, you're golden. You're golden. If you're a man, you probably won't see your child anymore. But that's just the luck of the draw, right? That's why men are designed to start over, right? The men are, even in some other animal kingdom things, like you build a nest, the nest gets crushed, you build it again. Men, right? Men. We're designed to start over. Women, technically in the past, it's not like that anymore. There's plenty of men now, like myself, beta, gamma men, simps, if you will, who are good at maintaining. We like to maintain. We like to keep it chill, simple, easy. Just keep going. Just keep grinding at it. So long as enough circumstances are good, we're good to go. Just keep going. But anyway, there we go, guys. I've explained to you what toxic masculinity is. I have just one more anecdote for you guys, and it is the problem, again, why some baristas, for instance, there's baristas, mixologists, if you will, they might be happy with their work, so they might be there at their job, day in, day out, happy. They get to mix their drinks, they get to talk to the crowd, they do their thing, they entertain, they bring you the drink, you're happy, the check, that's it. Customer in, customer out, keep going. They could do that all day. They could do that all day, all night, throughout their entire existence. It gets a little tiring on the, standing up and stuff, but it keeps you up and strong and motivated and all that good stuff. Great. Here comes the toxic masculinity. The boss sees, hey, look at that Marco. Look at that Marco reviews. He's doing pretty well. He's been doing this for like 10 years. Pretty good. We got a decent customer. But we're going to expand. We're going to expand. Look, he does pretty well with the customers. They love him. He's doing this, but, you know, it's antiquated. It's antiquated. There's this guy from Vegas, you know, he can throw bottles up and down, and he does the same thing that he does, but it's more show. It's more showy. We're going to upgrade our bar. We're going to upgrade our bar. So instead of going to that pesky, conniving, son of a gun Marco reviews, who is dependable, shows up on time every day, works, he's been doing it for 10, 15 years. The guy shows up and he goes, you know what? Hit the road, Jack, and don't you come back no more, no more. No more, no more. Hit the road, Jack, and don't you come back no more. It brings the guy from Vegas, replaces him. That's the toxic masculinity. You could have gone to that pesky, conniving, son of a gun Mark reviews and said, you know what? This is what a good owner does. This is what a good owner does. He says, hey, here's an opportunity for you, Mr. Mark Reviews. I would like to bring this place to the next level. I'm going to pay for your mixologist or whatever trickster course, you know? There's this guy in Vegas. This is what he does. Check it out. I'm going to pay for your course. You go and take this course, and hopefully you'll be able to do it pretty well. So you start off, maybe you're a little bit awkward for the first couple of weeks, but then you get into it. And now you've grown your assets. You've grown your employee directly in-house. And that guy is going to love you for it. He's going to love you for it because maybe he doesn't particularly want to get better at what it is, but circumstances have changed. The industry wants the guy who throws things around as well. But instead of ditching that guy, hit the road, Jack, right? You can make that Jack a little stronger. Who gives a crap? Anyway, that is why I will never be happy. Not because I can't be happy. Said, remember that guy. Remember that guy. Maybe you guys remember that guy. Maybe some of those old folks remember that guy who used to play in your house, in a corner, with his G.I. Joes, remote control cars, or even those Hot Wheels, and who would climb your trees, observe nature, hang out with the turtles. Still that guy. But people like me don't get to be happy in this world. We don't. Because of that toxic masculinity. And now that I've mansplained this to you guys, you can go out, have a good day. Have fun. If you see me on Road 69 holding up the sign, if you see me on Route 69 holding up the sign, you know why. You know why. What does it say? You should have voted for, gaffing like that Obama. That Joe Obama. Not like your mama, like Joe Obama. You should have voted yes on Prop 69. Spare some PayPal coin. If you see me on Route 69 with this, you know why. You know why. So with that said, I'm going to see you next time.